31st among government B schools and 6th in the East Zone and is rated AAA plus by Career 360-degree. IIC activity. Let's brief you about IIC activity. What is all about? Today's activity is a part of Institute Innovation Council IIC program initiated by Ministry of Education in collaboration with AICTE. This program aims to foster innovation, entrepreneurship in higher educational institutions by engaging faculty, students, staff in various activities promoting culture of innovation and startup ecosystem. So now it is my honor to invite Mr. Piyush Tripathi sir to grace us with his presence and deliver his valuable thoughts.
Thank you, Asha. Good morning, everyone. And
morning, sir.
Hi, everyone who are there online. I'm glad to be invited here to speak on the occasion of World Environment Day. I'll share some insights on how to empower green entrepreneurs. The topic of my presentation is empowering green entrepreneurs, climate crisis strategies, and government support for reducing carbon footprint and greenhouse emissions in startups. So, okay. Next slide. Slide before, please. Slide. Next slide, please. Okay. So before we start, into the technical details of how we can empower green entrepreneurs and green practices among startups, let's have a quick look into the prevailing climate crisis. So now is the time to act, for climate conservation and to protect our environment. Than ever before. Why? So please next. Yeah. So as per recent findings, the last time carbon dioxide levels on our planet were as high as today was more than 4 million years ago during the mid-Paleocene warm period. That is 3.3 to 3 million years ago, when the global surface temperature was 2 to 3 degrees Celsius warmer than during the pre-industrial era, that is before 1750. The warmth was similar to the climate scientists predict for our future if current global warming trends continue. Next, please. So, I mean, the current level of the warming which we are seeing these days, in the prevailing period, is actually how warm the Earth was 4 million years ago. And again, some more trends in the global warming. April 2024 was the warmest year globally, marking the 11th consecutive month of shattered temperature record. So we are seeing, month after month, the temperature levels are increasing across the globe, and this is being monitored by national as well as international agencies like Europe's climate agency, the European Union's, Copernicus Climate Change Service. Has stated that the last 12 months were the hottest period ever recorded, with temperature of 1.58 degrees Celsius above the pre-industrial level. Now, this was beyond the global commitments set under the Paris Agreement, adopted in 2015 and which came into force in 2016. This says that the global temperature are supposed to be limited to 1.5 degrees Celsius above the pre-industrial levels. And to keep it below 2 degrees Celsius. Now, if the temperature in the the last 12 months was 1.58 degrees Celsius, above pre-industrial average, so it automatically means that we are going beyond our commitment, the global commitment of keeping the global temperature below 1.5 degrees Celsius. So this is a matter of concern. So this Paris Agreement was negotiated at the 2015 United Nations Climate Change Conference, or COP21 in Paris. So we'll talk about the importance of these climate negotiations or climate dialogues held at global and country level. Next slide, please. So as students and young entrepreneurs, you people should should keep a tab on the global climate negotiations and dialogues, like the current, ongoing Bonn Climate Conference in Germany, which is happening this week. And delegates from 198 countries are there, and they are discussing about the, pathway ahead of the COP 29. So last year, we had COP 28 in Dubai in December, and this year we'll be having it in, in December as well. So, and this COP is basically the conference of parties who are signatories to the UNFCCC, and they discuss about, all the countries, they sit together, global leaders, they sit together and discuss about what, actions can be taken globally to, tackle climate change, to, tackle global warming, and, what kind of policy initiatives can be taken at the global as well as national level. The countries make their, commitments, the NDCs are reviewed, the national commitments are reviewed. So these dialogues are very important. Next slide, please. So now we'll talk about the temperature trends in India. Now, as we have talked earlier, the entire world is seeing record high temperatures. Similar temperature trend is being seen in India as well. Eastern India, as we are in Eastern India, has experienced its hottest April on record. And Delhi recorded the highest ever temperature at 52.9 degrees Celsius. Although it is being currently reviewed by the IMD, it is said that there is some fault in that, so it is being reviewed. But on average, the temperature levels have crossed 48, 49 degrees Celsius. Even in Bihar, in Aurangabad this year, 48 degrees Celsius temperature was recorded. Just this one. And we are, because most of you will be working as startups, as entrepreneurs, you'll be working in cities. So in India, urbanization has led to 60% more nighttime warming in over 140 prominent cities, as per a recent study by IIT Bhubaneswar. So it is getting more and more difficult to live in cities. Similarly, as per a recent study by WRI India Ross Center, in a business as usual scenario, 7 out of 10 people are projected to live in urban areas by 2050. So the cities are getting warmer. There are phenomena like urban heat island, which makes the city more warmer because of concretization, and because more population will be living in cities, so it will be all the more difficult to tackle climate change in cities. Next slide, please. Now, what as startups, entrepreneurs can do, what what budding entrepreneur students can do. So there are several ways. In terms of energy efficiency, startups can adopt energy efficient technologies and appliances. Renewable, they can adopt to shift to renewable energy. They can invest in solar, wind, and other renewable energy sources for operations. They can also adopt sustainable practices, opt for sustainable supply chains and eco-friendly materials, promote recycling and waste management programs. The offices can also be, use smart technologies for lighting, heating, and cooling. So all this, should be done to reduce the carbon footprint. So even if you cannot think of big things, at least take small steps like switching off the electrical appliances when not in use, keeping the temperature levels of air conditioners higher, like 24 to 25 degrees Celsius, to save energy. So these small steps can also help in tackling climate change. Next slide, please. Now there are several government incentives and schemes for incentivizing green practices by startups. For instance, incentives for renewable energy are in the form of subsidies and grants. There are tax incentives. Then under the National Action Plan for Climate Change, there is focus on 8 missions, including solar energy, energy efficiency, and sustainable agriculture. There's also support for research, development, and deployment of sustainable technologies. The government has a lot of focus on research also in the field of climate action. Now, Startup Action India initiative also has several initiatives like funding support, easier access to funds for startups working on green technologies. Tax exemptions are also there for startups which are working, in the green technology sector. Incubation centers, government-supported incubation centers are also created to foster innovation and sustainability. And then there are green bonds, opportunity for startups to raise funds through green bonds for environmental friendly projects. So basically, green bonds are securities which are used for funding environment friendly projects. So these kind of initiatives are there. So it's not that if you go towards green practices, you don't have any support. In fact, you have more support, more incentives which can help you to develop a sustainable business model, and so environmentally sustainable business model. Next slide, please. Previously, so there are some case studies. There's an app called the Globe app. This app has been developed by Maharashtra-based former journalist. Now she's a climate entrepreneur or greenpreneur. Her name is Prachi Shivgaonkar. She has developed an app in which the app measures the greenhouse gases emission by an individual, and then the app collectively shows how much green carbon emission has been reduced by the app users. So suppose you use a car for coming to office. So if you don't use the car and use public transport, that is calculated and it shows you how much carbon reduction you have done by switching to green practices. So there are several measures like you have different apps for measuring your steps, daily steps, and health apps. Similarly, this is for measuring the carbon emission through different green practices you do every day. Now, if people are making project ideas for different businesses, so they can also opt for techniques like altered choice architectures in hotel rooms for energy conservation. So normally, if you see, the hotel room beds are very thick. So if the hotels can make the beds in a way that it does not require very low temperatures. So it will help the guests to keep the ACs at higher temperatures. That will in turn save the energy. So such housekeeping techniques can be used for saving electricity in the hotels. Similarly, in the restaurants, Patna has a whole lot of restaurants. Many people might be thinking of opening their own restaurant. So there can be in terms of water conservation, there can be two-pronged ways for a blue star rating. So there can be more strict implementation for water conservation, and plus there can be behavioral change in staff and guests for better rating. So those staff and guests who do not waste water, and plus the entire restaurant, if it introduces or implements better water conservation practices, they will get more stars in terms of blue star ratings. So this is all that I had to say. If there are any questions, please, people can ask. Thank you.
Questions? Shailendraji, just for the tell us how many startups are here and how many students are there? Startups connected or web online, anybody?
Yes.
So how many startups are there so that when we speak, we are knowing? Nobody is here in this startup, one or two maybe.
Students may still are working under these startups only, so they are
right.
So no queries. Oh, thank you, sir, for your gracious presence and insightful address. Now, without further delay, let's hear from Mr. Bhushan Jha sir to enlighten us with his knowledge and experience.
Sure, Mani Bhushan.
Mr. Mani Bhushan Jha sir, sorry.
Hi, thank you. Good morning to all of you. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. Can people at the B Hub hear me? Isha, Pius, can you hear me? I think their video is frozen. Yeah, Isha, Pius, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Then thank you very much. I think this is very timely. Piyush has already touched upon certain aspects of it. I wanted to cover on because I think most of the people who are attending this are from Bihar, and then it will be interesting to note what is happening in Bihar and how you can use this as a business opportunity for you. I just wanted to tell you about one of the things that startups worry about is financing. I'm right now just to speak to you coming out of a meeting of Sadhan and Microsoft Consulting, which is a Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation funded project. They just apprised that there is a lot of money to be allotted for somebody who is trying to fund in green finance. So that is the obstacle that startups face primarily, and I think that is no longer the case with institutions like CITB and NABARD opening up doors for you. But I just wanted to take this opportunity to apprise you of what things are happening in Bihar on the climate so that you can tailor out certain innovations of yours to Bihar's intervention. Just allow me to share my slides and can you see my slides?
No, sure.
Can you see my slides now?
Yes.
sir.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so just take in mind the structure is going to be this way. Very quickly, I'll tell you about some of the initiatives of climate action that is happening in Bihar, and then we'll deal with certain interventions that you can start with and build a business case around it. And then I'll tell you the reasons why this may be the perfect time for something like that to exist in Bihar. Okay. So first of all, let me just because people sitting in the room, people joining online, let's just see this picture and imagine some of the things that is happening in North Bihar. You know, like many of you who are born and brought up in Bihar, I was also lucky enough to be born in North Bihar. No, and this famous saying identifies the complete North Bihar picture. This Pag Pag Pokhar Pan Mach Makhan, this is not just a slogan, but a pond at each step, Pan and Makhan. These are the identities of, North Bihar region. Life in this region used to be organized around the mighty rivers that sweep down the Himalayas and depositing fertile silt. So the entire economic reality was that. But you know what has happened in the last couple of decades because of some our intervention and because of natural things, almost 10 districts gets flooded annually, impacting more than around 1 million people who gets displaced, particularly impacting women and children. So this is the context, 20 years ago, many of you may be knowing, especially if Dr. Rana is present in the room. I'm not sure, but this is the context in which Mr. Anupam Mishra has written 20 years back. The drowning, the floating civilization is drowning. That is, तैरने वाला समाज डूब रहा है. And this is the context, So sometimes it is very important to see the perspective because more recently the official engineered response. So how are we dealing with floods in the last 4 decades? By building embankments. So we build embankments to protect from floods. We build secondary embankments to protect the primary embankments, and then we build tertiary embankment to protect the secondary embankment. So there is 3 level of embankments that we are building, and when these embankments fail, like it happened in 2008, thousands of people get impacted directly. So what I'm trying to say is human interventions can sometimes increase the vulnerability. This is the context in which what Bihar decided. In 2020, the leadership decided to prepare a white paper on climate neutrality, and then commissioned a study called it Climate Resilient and Low Carbon Development Pathways, which many of the findings Piyush has already shown you. But in the last 3 years, the strategy development framework through this 3A framework has taken place. Many of the things that I'll tell you now, and many of the startup people can take use of it, is the Bihar government and us and the think tank community has based our strategies and the recommendations in the 3A basis. One being key 2030. For 2030, we are suggesting incremental actions, that what all limited slow actions can be taken to align ourselves with the nearest challenges. Then in the 2050 transitional actions, where we prepare ourselves for the new kind of risks. And in 2050, transformative actions, 2017, transformative actions, when we say that this is now we have to prepare for erratic climate and so on and so forth.